And welcome to On the Money with Secure Money. My name is Cynthia DeFazio. I'm joined today by Brian Quaranta. He is president and founder of Secure Money Advisors. Brian, how are you today?
I'm doing good. Good to see you as always.
It's great to see you as always, because I know that you're so extremely busy. So I love the fact that we find the time to do the shows together.
Yeah.
So thank you for always coming into the studio and having me be your host.
Well, we appreciate it very much.
Definitely. Let me ask you right out of the gate, what types of questions are you hearing a lot from people that are obviously watching the show and they're calling in, they're booking the consultation with you? Is there one main thing that they're asking more than anything else?
Am I on the right track?
Okay.
They always ask that. And I think what they really mean is, doing this for over 21 years, here's what I've learned, because, on the right track means different things to different people, okay? But what they're really asking is, or saying is, I'm at a point in my life where I can't afford to lose a lot of money. And I'm afraid that the market might go down and I might lose a chunk of that money. And they don't want to see that happen. Or they'll say, I'm getting ready to retire. I'm not sure when to collect my Social Security. They'll say they don't have a pension and they want to learn how to generate income from their investments. So these are the things that you hear. A lot of people also want to know about taxes. I mean, how do they pay less in taxes in retirement? So those are the pretty common things we hear, because it always will revolve around the 5 key areas that I always talk about. And that is income, taxes, investments, healthcare, and legacy planning. And I always say at our practice, if we're making sure that every I is dotted and every T is crossed on those 5 key areas, you will have a really good retirement. But I think people get confused, as you and I always talk about.
Sure.
They get confused that that pile of stuff or those investments that you have is a retirement plan, and it's just not.
Yeah.
It goes beyond that. Yeah.
Absolutely. So I can envision a lot of people coming into the office, Brian, maybe a little nervous, arms crossed, a lot of stress and tension, but then after they meet with you, sigh of relief. Would that be true?
Yeah, but I think if people are they're watching the TV show more often. We've got a lot of people that are fans of the radio show, and what you see is what you get with me and my team, because we have such a great culture at our office that a lot of people come in and they're ready to be open and honest about where they're at, and they really are saying, "Please help me." Yeah. Right? I've been watching your show for quite a few years, and I've been talking to my wife and saying we need to come up and we need to get together a plan. Sometimes people are intimidated by the process, but we make it so easy because we have such a good process to bring them through. See, I think what it is most people are afraid that they don't know what to ask. Well, at our office, you don't need to worry about what to ask, because we're going to ask you all the right questions around those 5 key areas that we talk about all the time.
Well, Brian, you said the magic word, questions.
Questions.
Because we have had so many questions come in through the week.
Yeah.
If you don't mind, I would love to tackle a few of those today. Does that sound like a plan?
Let's do it.
Okay. This is a great question. It says, Brian, I'm 67 years old. I intend to take Social Security benefits at age 70. My wife turned 65 years old in June of 2022. She does not have the minimum 40 credits of work to get her own Social Security retirement benefits. When she turns 65, can she claim spousal benefits? How will they be calculated? And if she claims spousal benefits, will that have any effect on my benefits when I claim at age 70?
Well, first off, the unfortunate thing is you cannot collect your Social Security now until your spouse turns on their Social Security. So in this case, she doesn't have the 40 credits. So that means that she cannot turn her spousal benefit on until her husband does, meaning if she turns hers on, she might get a reduction, but it's going to be under her own benefit, okay? But this is the really strange thing about Social Security. Let's take somebody that has been divorced, okay? Well, they can turn their Social Security on before their ex-spouse turns their Social Security on. But if you're a married couple and you don't have enough credits, you can't turn it on until your spouse turns theirs on. So they might be in a situation to where him waiting might not be in their best interest.
Okay.
Yeah.
And again, it's a situation where someone has to come in and really talk to you to understand all these different things, because obviously it can be very confusing when we're talking about
Well,
Social Security.
I don't know anybody, I don't know anything about his situation, but I would say this, I'm in a little bit of a disagreement in waiting till 70,
Okay.
because, but again, this individual might be in really great health, and there might be some things about the situation that I don't know about. But I believe in collecting Social Security sooner than later, because remember, Social Security is a benefit that's only guaranteed while you're living. All right.
Mm.
And the average life expectancy, by the way, for a male is 78 years old. So it doesn't matter whether you collect at 62 or 66, let's say that was your full retirement age, you're going to collect the same amount of money up until age 78, right? So it takes up until age 78 where you get your break even point. So it's not until you live past age 78 that you actually start to benefit from waiting till that later year of 66.
Hmm.
Now, if you wait till 70 to collect, your break even's not till out at till age 83, which is beyond the life expectancy for a male, according to AARP. So
Okay. Which is still the number one fear that we've talked about in the
all the time,
past,
yes,
is
AARP's
outliving your money.
they interview
Really?
people every single year and they say, "Hey, what do you fear most, running out of money or death?"
Yeah.
And like 90% of them say, "Hey, I fear running out of money more than I fear death alone." And I can understand. I mean, I wouldn't want to run out of money in retirement. So
Sure.
remember this: for every dollar you get in Social Security, it's a dollar that our investments don't have to earn, or it's a dollar that we don't have to take from our investments. So we're leveraging something that you're guaranteed to get as long as you're living. But remember, when you die, Social Security goes away. So why not leverage it to try to preserve the assets that you've accumulated over your lifetime, so that when things come up later on down the road, like inflation or an emergency, you have a pot of money to go to. Because if you want to retire, right, and you want to delay taking Social Security, well, where are you going to get the income from?
Yeah.
You're probably going to take it from your retirement accounts. Well, what's that going to do to the balance over time? It might deplete
Sure.
it. So, when we run the math, a lot of times it shows better collecting Social Security sooner than later.
That makes sense. Well, Brian, I know that you have a very special offer for the viewers at home today. Let's spend a little bit of time diving into that before we open the phone lines.
Yeah, it's all about being on the right track. And we developed the right track retirement system because that's the number one question we get.
Hmm.
So I said, well, what if we developed a system that gave people the peace of mind of whether or not they were on the right track? And I always say, if you're not on the right track, when would be a good time to know?
Hmm.
Think about that. If you're getting to a point where you're close to retirement or you're retired and you still have questions and concerns about what you're doing, it's a great opportunity for you to come in and get an analysis of your portfolio. Because when we sit down and walk through the 5 key areas with you, it's going to start to become very clear of how to position these dollars in retirement. We always talk in our office about buckets of money, okay? Because what people don't realize is as you get older, there has to be different buckets of money. There's the now bucket, the soon bucket, and the later bucket, right?
Okay.
Or what we also call the blue bucket, the green bucket, or red bucket.
Okay.
And when you come in, we'll show you the strategy behind doing that. And there's a design behind that. Because remember, if you've got to build your own pension, like most people do because they're not getting one, meaning they're going to have to generate income, you have to learn how to position your money for income. Well, if you think you're just going to retire and take your 401k and roll it over to some IRA with some investment firm, and you're going to start taking money out of there, think again, because that's where you run the risk of potentially running out of money. So the right track retirement system has all been built around helping people determine if they're going to have enough money. What if another 2007, 2008 came? Or what happens if we had another issue with a pandemic, but the market didn't recover and you lost 25 or 30% of your portfolio? What impact is that going to have?
Sure.
Right? Or what happens when you die and the good Lord takes you home?
Yeah.
I know that most people will tell me they would rather see the money go to their family, right, and to their charities. They don't want to see an unnecessary amount go to the IRS. And when we come back, one of the things I wanted to talk about was the CARES Act and the Secure Act, because most people don't realize when they die, a lot of times the biggest beneficiary is the IRS.
Ooh, okay. We definitely want to talk a little bit more about that. So do you have an offer today for the first 10 callers that call in?
Folks, for the next 10 callers who call in right now, we are going to give you the Right Track Retirement Review. This is a complimentary portfolio analysis of where you're currently at. Wouldn't it be nice to know whether or not you're on the right track? This will help you determine where you are and where you need to go. And if you are on the right track, wouldn't it be great to get that confirmation? So for the next 10 callers who call in right now, we are going to give this to you complimentary, no cost, but you got to do your part. You got to pick up the phone and you got to call us. It's 1-888-382-1298. Again, 1-888-382-1298.
Brian, thank you so much. To the viewers at home, the phone lines are now open. That number to call is 888-382-1298. We know you have a lot of questions for Brian about how to plan your perfect retirement. Please stay tuned. As soon as we come back, I have more questions for Brian, and one of those could be your very own. We'll be back momentarily.
How confident are you in your current financial plan? Do you know with certainty how the recent market volatility will affect your future hopes and dreams? How much are you paying in taxes? And how much are you losing to unnecessary high fees? You didn't work to save this money so that you could spend your time worried in retirement. Now is the time to take charge of your finances so you can feel confident about your future. Call in during the next 30 minutes of today's show only to set up an absolutely complimentary, no obligation, full-blown financial review that will result in your own customized written plan. This is a $999 value that we're giving away complimentary to the first 10 people who respond. We'll start with a full-blown analysis of what you already have by running a report to untangle how much you are currently paying in fees, how you're allocated for risk, and what it's costing to work with your current advisor. Next, we'll identify your goals. Where do you see yourself in the next 5 years? Where do you want to go, and who do you hope to go there with? Is your current financial plan set up to get you there without mishap? Let's design a roadmap to create a financial plan you can follow with confidence. Get the piece that so many people are missing from their retirement. Find out how having a written plan can make a difference to your retirement dreams. Call now to schedule your complimentary, no obligation, full-blown financial review today.
And welcome back to On the Money with Secure Money. My name is Cynthia DeFazio. I'm joined today by Brian Quaranta. He is president and founder of Secure Money Advisors. Brian, a great show that we're having today, obviously talking a lot about viewer questions, and I love that. But in our first segment, you mentioned the CARES Act and the Secure Act. Let's talk a little bit about those before we get back to viewer questions.
Yeah, I think the best way we can walk the viewers through this is to talk about what things looked like before the Secure Act was signed into law. So let's go back prior to December 31st of 2019 when it was signed into law. And if you had an IRA, and when I say IRA, for the purpose of what I'm speaking about, we're talking about any retirement account, right? So we're talking about 401ks, 403bs, IRAs, anything that has a beneficiary attached to it that's going to pass on if you die. So Money Magazine probably did the best article of how disastrous this can be to our heirs when we pass away and our IRAs or our retirement accounts pass to our families. So there's an article about a son that inherited his father's $500,000 retirement account. Stunned and upset, of course, that his father's passed. He calls up the company and says, hey, my dad's passed away. What do we do? They said, well, let us look at the beneficiary document. They said that you are the primary beneficiary. You need to send us a death certificate. So he sends all the documents in, and a couple weeks later, he gets a check in the mail for $500,000. Well, a few weeks later, he also gets a 1099 in the mail, which, of course, we all know what a 1099 means. That means that you now have $500,000 of income. So the article went on to say that the son owed the IRS over $240,000 in taxes. Think about that for a moment. That man that died, that worked probably 30 or 40 years for his money, was not expecting to make the IRS his largest beneficiary, nor was his son expecting to do that. But this is the important part of planning, because if you think you're just going to write some people down as your primary beneficiaries and not instruct the things that can be done to reduce taxation, you're going to have a situation like that. Now, under the old rule, we were allowed to do something called an inherited IRA, where the son would have actually been able to roll that money over to an inherited IRA. The IRS wouldn't have taxed him on that, but they would have required that a little bit of money come out each year. That was the old way. Now, and by the way, he would be able to take that money out for the rest of his life, 35, 40 years, however long he was going to live. Now the IRS says, wait a second. No. We don't want people being able to defer taxes that long when they die. So now we're going to force you into either paying the taxes immediately when you die, okay? Or we're going to force your beneficiaries to paying it over a 10-year period or at the end of 10 years. So they've shortened and compressed the time frame. And this is why now, more than ever, is so important to do tax planning because we're up against such different tax laws that are causing all of us to potentially pay way more in taxes than what we should. I don't have a problem paying my fair share. I know you don't either. But I would rather only pay my fair share and not more than I need to. And it's unfair that if you don't know about it, you get taxed, but if you do, you don't get taxed, right? Think about that for a moment. We live in a system where it's like, well, I'm sorry that you didn't know that. In this kid's case, it's not like he got a redo. You know, the IRS says, well, sorry, you took the money out. You shouldn't have done that. You could have rolled it to an inherited IRA. It's not like he gets a redo.
Exactly.
And we don't want to see people make those mistakes.
Brian, thank you for sharing that story. That is it's touching and it's very important to know because obviously people need that information.
That's right.
So by coming in to speaking with you, one of the team members, if you will, they're going to leave with more information. So I'm going to jump into some viewer questions. Is that okay?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, excellent. Here's a great question. It says, Brian, I'm 55 years old. I've been with the same company about 15 years. I've always had a 401k and I'm taking advantage of the match. Now the company is offering a Roth 401k. Should I be contributing to that as well? And are there any disadvantages?
Well, do you want to pay taxes or do you want to have tax-free money? I don't know. Which one would you choose, by the way?
Is this a trick question?
It's not a trick question. Would you rather pay taxes or not pay taxes?
I'm going to go with let's not pay taxes,
Let's not pay taxes.
And still be legal. Okay.
So now here's the deal, because that's a little bit misleading what I just said, because in order for him to take advantage of the Roth IRA or the Roth 401k, he is going to have to pay taxes on that money up front, right?
Okay.
But let's just use a simple example. Let's say that individual, because when we invest in a 401k, right? Let's say we put $15,000 in for the year. That comes off of our gross income. Okay, so it lowers our tax bill. But if I invest $15,000 into a Roth, I don't get that deduction. I have got to count that money as income, pay the taxes, and then I can make the contribution, all right?
Okay.
But let's look at the scenario here. Let's say we got $15,000, it goes into the 401k, and that grows to $100,000. And it grows to $100,000 in the Roth portion of the 401k. If I want to pull all $100,000 out, I can do that tax-free. If that were to go in the traditional portion, right? If that were to go into the traditional 401k portion, that $15,000 grows to $100,000. I pull that out, all of that $100,000 counts as income tax.
Wow.
So who knows what income tax bracket you'd be in? You could be in 25, 27, 28%, somewhere around there, because we're in a marginal bracket. So, you know, it's always better not to pay taxes in the future. The other way we say it is, would you rather pay taxes on the seed or the harvest? I'd rather pay taxes on the seed.
Because most people do feel, Brian, that taxes are going to go up.
Yeah.
What do you think?
I do.
Yeah.
I do. It's hard to believe that they won't.
Yeah.
But we always want to make sure that we're making good decisions so that if they do go up, we're not stuck in a situation where we're impacted by it. Maybe we can mitigate that a little bit by doing some good tax planning.
Sure, that makes sense. Well, Brian, I know you have a special offer to the viewers at home today. Let's talk a little bit about what that is again and then reopen the phone lines.
Yeah, our Right Track retirement system, something I'm very, very proud of, that really will help you determine whether or not you're on the right track. So many people ask us every single week at our office, are we on the right track? Are we doing the right things? Let me ask you, if you weren't on the right track, when would you want to know that? And if you are on the right track, how good would it feel that you actually know that you're on the right track? So when you come in, we're going to help you go through the 5 key areas that I always talk about on this show. We're going to go over your income, we'll go over taxes, we'll go over investments, we'll go over healthcare, and we'll go over legacy planning. We'll get a lot done in about a 45-minute to an hour meeting. So, but you've got to do your part. You've got to call us. You got to get up off the couch, put that cup of coffee down, call us 1-888-382-1298 and schedule your complimentary Right Track retirement meeting with us today.
Brian, thank you so much. To the viewers at home, the phone number to call is once again on your screen. That number is 888-382-1298. We know you have a lot of questions about how to plan your perfect retirement. Brian has the answers for you. All you have to do is take advantage of picking up the phone and calling in today, 888-382-1298. We have to take a very short commercial break, but when we come back, we're going to have time for more viewer questions. Please stay tuned.
As a good saver, you've been putting away money during your working years. Studies find that the biggest fear of retirees is running out of money. Market volatility isn't just the downward movement of stock prices, it's the size and frequency of change. The more dramatic the ups and downs, the higher the volatility. This can put savers who are newly retired or a few years away from being retired at greater risk. Today's generation of retirees is not receiving traditional pensions as our parents or grandparents did. Instead, we have retirement accounts such as 401ks or 403bs. These accounts typically expose your money to market risk. The last thing you want right before retirement is to lose a portion of the money you need for income. But how do you turn these accounts into a retirement income? Is it safe to keep all your retirement money sitting in the stock market? The last thing you want is to lose a portion of the money you need for income due to market loss. By working with a financial professional, you can learn how to turn a portion of your savings into an income stream for life and income for the life of your spouse if you're married. We all have moments in our lives when we wish we had taken action sooner. Don't let procrastination reign on your retirement parade. Act now before it's too late. Please call our office to set up your no-cost, no-obligation retirement income review today.
And welcome back to On the Money with Secure Money. My name is Cynthia DeFazio. I'm joined today by Brian Quaranta. He is president and founder of Secure Money Advisors. Brian, a great show that we're having, and I love this specific spot, if you will, all viewer questions.
Yeah.
So I just want to jump right back
Let's
in
do it.
now that I got that out in English. This is a great question. My spouse and I are 70 and 67 years old and retired. We have a fixed and variable annuity. Is this a good investment for monthly income? We sometimes need extra income for home maintenance.
Yeah, that's a great question. Here's the thing. Annuities are really, really great for income. That's what they're designed to do. Now, there's three types. There's variable, there's fixed, and there's indexed. Quite frankly, I like two of them, right? 2 out of the 3. I like fixed and I like index because they do something very important. They guarantee and protect the principal.
Okay.
And as you get older, you want to focus more on principal protection and income versus growth in income, because growth in income comes with potential loss, right? So variable annuities also, because again, the name variable, meaning they can go up and down, right? They can tend to be very high in fees. And we've got to remember that fees will reduce your gains and they will compound your losses. So let's just use an example. You know, the average variable annuity fee that we typically see is about 3 to 4%. So let me just go on the low end and say it's 3%. So let's say that somebody gets a 10% rate of return in the market, but they got to pay a 3% fee. That means their real rate of return is only 7. But if the market goes down 10%, right? That means it's going to compound the loss. So their loss isn't just 10, it's 10 minus the fee of 3, and now they're down 13%.
Wow.
So when we're looking to build income in retirement, you can do it with no fees or very low fees and protect the principal in a fixed or index type of annuity. Yeah.
Okay, Brian, thank you. That was an excellent response to that question. I didn't expect anything different, though, from you. You're just always spot on. This is a great question, too. Brian, an IRA is being willed to me. If I inherit it before the age of 59 and a half, can I have it sent directly to my own IRA? And what are the tax implications?
So this is what we just talked about earlier, right? This is the example that I gave of Money Magazine, paying all that tax on that money. So this is a big mistake right here. So can I will it and put it into my IRA?
Yeah.
No, that's the roadblock. And if you do try to do that, guess what? You're gonna get taxed. But you could put it into a special inherited IRA, which the IRS allows, and you can move that money to your inherited IRA for the benefit of you, and you would now not have to pay taxes when it transfers from whoever's IRA they're inheriting to the to the inherited IRA, you won't have to pay taxes when that money goes in, but you will be required to get all of that money out now within 10 years. So you can either start to withdraw a little bit over a 10-year period and make sure that that account balance is 0 in 10 years, or you can defer all that money, right, until the 10th year and take it all out at once. Here's my concern with that. How old was that person, did they say? They didn't say.
She said if I inherit it before the age of 59 and a half.
59 and a half.
She didn't say where she
well,
was exactly.
but let's say she did. If she waited till 10 years to take that money, right, she could be 70 years old. So if she's got a big amount of money in there, like $200,000, and she's got to cash it all in 10 years, boy, that's a big tax bite to take 10 years in the retirement.
Absolutely.
So there's just better ways to do it. Yeah.
Absolutely. This is a great question too, Brian. Brian, is it ever too late to start on a retirement plan? Ever too late?
Ever too late. Never, ever, ever too late. You know, there's many situations that we've run into over the years where you get somebody that comes in and because life, right? We all know life gets in the way.
Sure.
Whether it's, you know, a spouse dying and you didn't have, and you were taking care of kids on your own and there just wasn't enough money there to build a retirement savings account. There's many situations over my career where somebody's come in and they don't have a ton of money saved. Well, you shouldn't panic because there's still opportunity to grow a retirement portfolio. And one of the ways that you can do that is actually leveraging Social Security. See, most people don't realize that when you turn your full retirement age, Social Security will allow you to collect 100% of your Social Security and still work and not penalize you. So let's suppose that you are a little bit behind and you're not on the right track, right?
Okay.
Well, I had a lady that came in, single, went through a divorce, and didn't have a whole lot of money saved. And when she told me what her need was going to be in retirement, when I say need, I'm talking about what she was going to need for income to live off of. Her Social Security was definitely not going to be enough, and we knew we needed another source to generate income from. So here's what we did. We had her turn on her Social Security. She still worked. And within 8 years, because of the Social Security that we were getting, right? We're taking the Social Security and we were investing that along with some contributions on our own. We were able to build up over a $500,000 portfolio for her in that very short period of time. So a lot of progress can be made very, very, very quickly. And we're able to get her retired and she's got enough income to be able to retire.
That is fantastic. I love that. Well, Brian, I know we only have about a minute left in the show this week.
Yeah.
Let's talk about what you would like to offer the viewers at home.
The right track retirement, Cynthia, right?
Okay.
It's always about being on the right track.
Absolutely.
And that's because you always come to the office. You, the viewer, always come to the office and say, hey, are we on the right track? Are we doing the right things? And we designed it so that you know what the right track looks like. We want to give you a roadmap. We want to give you turn-by-turn directions of how to get from point A to point B. And in retirement, there's a very specific way to do that. It's not about the pile of investments. It's about a strategy. It's about a written plan. So when you come in, but you got to do your part. You got to call us. You got to schedule. It's 1-888-382-1298. We're going to walk you through that right track retirement system and give you the peace of mind and security you deserve going into retirement.
Brian, thank you for another amazing show this week. To the viewers at home, most specifically, thank you for spending time with us. That number to call is 888-382-1298. Be safe, be happy, be blessed. We look forward to seeing you back 1 week from today.